Imagine this for a second. You open your newsfeed and see giant logos, Rivian, Uber, WeWork, hovering over charts dripping with red ink, billions lost, quarter after quarter. And yet, somehow, the people behind these companies end up richer than the GDP of a small European country. So here's a little riddle for you. What if the fastest way to become a billionaire today is to burn through mountains of cash? Yeah, I know. It sounds like the kind of advice your broke college roommate would give you right before asking to borrow 20 bucks. But step back and look at the pattern. Rivian loses money on every truck they ship. Uber spent years setting fire to its balance sheet. WeWork? That thing collapsed like a Jenga tower in an earthquake. And still, the founders and early investors walked away with pockets so heavy they might as well have set off metal detectors. Now, here's the twist. This isn't some glitch in capitalism. This is the game, the invisible game. The one most people don't even know exists, yet they're playing anyway. If you've got a retirement plan, a Robinhood account, or you've ever tapped a button for a cheap Uber ride at 2 a.m., congratulations. You're in the arena. You're just not sitting in the VIP section. And that raises the real question, how? How do companies that bleed money like a horror movie turn those losses into someone else's private fortune? How do you go from "we're drowning" to "we're billionaires"? To crack the code, you've got to ditch the mindset most of us grew up with. That profit equals success, and loss equals failure. That old-school thinking belongs in your dad's hardware store, not in the world of modern tech. Because the people running this show aren't thinking like shop owners. They're thinking like venture capitalists, gamblers who aren't playing for tonight's winnings, but for the entire casino. So, let's step inside. Reset the way you look at money, growth, and value, because once you see the gears turning behind all the smoke and broken spreadsheets, you'll realize that losing company is actually following a script written in red ink, the machine. Now that we've accepted the riddle, it's time to find the answer. Let's look at the engine room. Because once you see the internal logic of this wealth-generating machine, those headlines screaming about billions lost will suddenly start to make perfect, ruthless sense. The mindset shift. Profit is old school. Picture a hand letting go of a dollar bill that morphs into a J-shaped growth curve. That right there is the entire shift in philosophy. If you grew up with parents who told you, "Son, save your money, don't spend more than you make," congratulations, you are officially incompatible with modern tech finance. Profit, the old gold standard of business success, is now basically a museum artifact. It's a black and white TV in a world of OLED screens. In this new arena, growth is the king, the queen, and the whole royal court. Growth in users, growth in market share, and the biggest one, growth in the story of what the company could become. Investors aren't betting on what a company is, they're betting on what the company claims it'll dominate someday. Think about companies like Spotify or Snapchat, popular, beloved, constantly growing, and for years, barely scraping any real profit. And yet Wall Street still pours money into them because they believe in the future monopoly scenario. That's the currency now, potential, not performance. If a company is losing 10 grand for every new customer, they're not failing. They're buying territory. They're playing risk while everyone else is counting receipts. The invisible game rewards the one who expands the fastest, not the one who balances their books the cleanest. The red isn't danger. The red is fuel. But where does that fuel come from? That takes us into the engine room. The funding ladder. The engine room. The funding ladder. Now let's walk down into the engine room, where the gears grind, the heat rises, va noi, fep, thuat, zaira. Think of it like a ladder made of money. Each rung isn't just financing, it's a reevaluation of the company's worth. But here's the secret. The worth isn't based on profit, it's based on imagination, hype, and momentum. Stage 1, the seed round. This is the two friends in a coffee shop with a laptop phase. No product, no revenue. Just a dream, a pitch deck. Maybe a slightly overconfident founder wearing a Patagonia vest. An investor throws in $1 million for, say, 20% of the company. Instantly, the idea, nothing more, is valued at $5 million. It's like selling someone a lottery ticket and calling yourself a millionaire because the ticket might hit. Stage 2, Series A. Now there's a rough version of the product. It barely works, but it exists. Another investor drops $20 million for another slice. Boom. Valuation jumps to $100 million. Suddenly, the first investor's original stake, bought for practically pocket change, is worth tens of millions. On paper. The product hasn't proven anything yet, but the narrative has. Stage 3, Series B and C. This is when things get wild. Expansion mode, hiring sprees, fancy offices with kombucha on tap. Maybe they launch in multiple countries overnight and hope nothing explodes. Investors dump in $100 million more, and, abracadabra, we have $1 billion unicorn. Not because the company made money, but because enough people agreed it might one day. This is the part people often misunderstand. These companies aren't earning money from customers. They're earning money from the next investor. Who believes the next investor? Who believes the next one? The actual product, be it rides, software, or electric trucks, isn't the real product. The company itself is the product. Each funding round is simply flipping that same asset to a new, eager buyer at a higher price. Think of it as real estate speculation with apps instead of houses, but the asset being traded is pure, unadulterated potential. Now, why would anyone buy an asset that's aggressively bleeding cash? That's the secret sauce. The secret sauce, losses as a weapon. This brings us to the part that feels most counterintuitive, yet makes the most sense. Why burn mountains of cash? Why not operate like a normal business and aim for profit? Because in the invisible game, losses are a weapon. This isn't capitalism as you know it. This is a war. A long, miserable grind where the company with the deepest pockets and the highest tolerance for bleeding money wins. Uber didn't spend billions because they were incompetent. They spent billions because taxi companies didn't have billions to counterattack. Lyft, DoorDash, Deliveroo, all these household names, they built empires not by selling at a profit, but by making their service so cheap that everyone else simply couldn't compete. Imagine going up against a restaurant that sells burgers for $1 even though it costs them $6 to make. How long could you survive? A month? 2? Meanwhile, they've got venture capitalists tossing them fuel like some never-ending cheat code. Amazon did it for years. European startups do it now. It's the Hunger Games with spreadsheets. And the goal is simple. Be the last one standing. If you can outlose everyone else, once the smoke clears, you own the whole playing field. Then you flip the switch, turn off the subsidies, raise prices. And suddenly, the unprofitable company becomes a money-printing fortress. Consumers don't even notice it happening. One day your rides are cheap. Your food delivery feels like a steal. The next day, everything costs more. But now the old competitors are gone. You don't have a choice anymore. People playing the normal game, small bookstores, local taxi drivers, family-owned shops, they never stood a chance. They're playing checkers. The giants are playing interdimensional chess with a flamethrower. And that's the heart of the machine. Losses aren't mistakes. They are strategy. They are leverage. They are the tactical fuel that powers the valuation ladder and mints the billionaires. But what happens when the money runs out and the war is won? That's the grand finale. The trap and the truth. the IPO exit. The machine has operated, the strategy has been executed, and now it's time for the curtain call. The grand finale of the invisible game isn't profit or stability. It's the IPO, the moment the company walks onto the stock market like a celebrity stepping onto a red carpet at NASDAQ. Cameras flashing, executives smiling, confetti blasting. All while the business might still be bleeding money like it's allergic to profitability. But behind the celebration, the roles are very, very clear. First, you've got the insiders, the founders, and the early venture capital funds. These people bought their shares back when the company was little more than a pitch deck and a promise. They're the ones who bought in at pennies. They're the ones who stand to make tens of millions or billions when the doors finally open. Then come the hype architects, the investment banks. They're like the event planners who turn a messy garage band into a polished stadium act. They create the perfect narrative for Wall Street. Revolutionary tech, massive future potential, undiscovered gem. Their job is to package the story so well that the public can't resist. And finally, there's the public. Regular folks, pension funds, index funds, the guy who downloads Robinhood after watching one too many hustle videos. These are the people who buy the stock at the highest price, often without realizing they are the exit door. They're the ones absorbing the risk, while insiders quietly convert their paper millions into real cash. This is the mechanism. Privatize the gains. Spread the risk across the crowd. It's not illegal. It's not even hidden. It's just how the modern financial machine is designed. The wake-up call. How to not be the fool. Here's the part that matters. You can't shut down this system, but you can choose not to walk into it blindfolded. The first rule is simple. Follow the story, not the sparkle. Whenever you see a new company being hyped like it's the second coming of Apple, ask yourself, what future are they selling me? Are they promising to reinvent the wheel, or are they just sprinkling buzzwords on top of a mediocre product? Plenty of startups can't build a sustainable business, but they can build a fantastic narrative. Don't confuse the two. Next, learn to separate valuation from value. Stock prices aren't rational, they're emotional. They're group psychology, TikTok trends, billionaire tweets, and imaginary futures all blended into one number. Tesla spent years being valued as if it already dominated every road in the world long before it came close. That wasn't math. That was belief. And finally, understand where you're sitting at the table. Are you getting in early with the insiders, when the price is low and the risk is high but fair? Or are you buying at the IPO, when the band has already played most of the best songs and the hosts are heading toward the exit with their pockets full? If it's the latter, that doesn't make you foolish, only uninformed. And uninformed is the easiest position to exploit. So, the next time you see a headline screaming about a tech unicorn losing billions, remember this: what you are seeing is not a failure. It is a finely tuned, highly efficient wealth transfer machine doing exactly what it was designed to do. The game is tilted, but it is not unknowable. Now that you understand the rules, you are no longer just another spectator in the crowd. You are a player who knows the script, and that knowledge is your only defense.